Buddhism and science are two concepts that seem unrelated, even contradictory and opposing to each other. But in reality, they share a deep and undeniable connection. The deeper I delve into Buddhism, the more I realize how small I truly am. So small that I feel like nothingness itself. As modern science advances, we now have the foundation to reach the far edge of the universe. And this is the moment humanity realizes we are smaller than we ever imagined. It is also at that moment that we come to realize only Buddhism holds the answers to all the questions in the universe. I believe that in the future, the teachings of the Buddha will become the ultimate destination of all scientific research. Over 2,000 years ago, while classical Western philosophy was heavily influenced by deities or a supreme god, in the East, especially in India, there existed a radiant civilization, so profound that even today, archaeologists and scientists have yet to fully uncover its depth, along with astonishingly accurate interpretations of the universe and the world. In the Buddhist scriptures, a religion considered atheistic, indeed founded around the 6th century BCE, in the midst of a deeply stratified Indian society dominated by Brahmanism, Shakyamuni Buddha and his disciples, within just a few centuries, introduced an entirely new system of thought, and they left behind a vast treasury of scriptures, containing immense knowledge through which people could extract countless insights about the world and universe. Its value remains significant even to this day. Whenever the concept of religion is mentioned, we often can't avoid associations with divine images, or supernatural, distant, and even superstitious elements. Setting aside religious controversies for a moment, when we study and consult Buddhist scriptures, we can extract many insightful perspectives from Buddhism about the world and human beings, as well as many analytical methods that science has adopted. Although the scriptures primarily focus on teaching ways to end suffering, we can still find a wealth of arguments and viewpoints from Buddhism regarding the physical nature of the world and the universe. One of the most challenging and ancient questions in physics and philosophy is, where did the universe come from? How does it move and evolve? Even today, countless answers still rely heavily on divine authority and theories based on belief in a creator, that a supreme power created the universe. Yet Buddhism, a religion that emerged 2,500 years ago, broke away from rigid dogmas and established a completely non-theistic worldview. According to Buddhist scriptures, all things, whether living beings or matter, must follow laws that act upon them impartially. Humans have achieved new discoveries through the practice of science. When these new discoveries could not be explained by initial scientific theories, new hypotheses were proposed to satisfy the issues that had previously been uncovered. Some scientific hypotheses that are widely accepted usually meet three conditions. First, the theoretical system must be consistent, meaning it must be self-explanatory and free of contradictions. Second, it must be able to accurately describe existing findings. That is, the hypothesis must be self-completing and align with scientific experiments. Third, according to this hypothesis, certain inferences and predictions must be able to be drawn, and these predictions must be verifiable through future experiences and observations. As more and more inferences and predictions are proposed, these hypotheses become increasingly accepted by scientists. and such a scientific hypothesis is then called a scientific theory. If the theory explains and guides subjects with broad and important impact, it is known as a grand scientific theory. For example, Newtonian mechanics and Einstein's theory of relativity. Newtonian mechanics applies to all macroscopic objects, following rules when not approaching the speed of light. The theory of relativity can describe low-velocity motion of all macroscopic objects at near light speed, and the rules that apply when approaching the speed of light. When these two theories were proposed, people were able to explain problems that previously could not be solved, and old scientific theories were surpassed. The inferences and predictions made from these were later verified by numerous scientific observations. The theory of relativity is a generalization of Newtonian mechanics, and Newtonian mechanics is a special case of relativity theory at low speeds, because the range of application of these two theories is so vast. Newton and Einstein are recognized globally as the greatest scientists. Their theories are considered the greatest scientific theories, launching satellites into space, operating submarines in the ocean, competing in sports, or observing the cosmos. All must follow the constraints of the laws described by these two theories. In the same way, Buddhism also possesses all the essential characteristics of a scientific theory. First, Buddhist theory is internally consistent and harmonious. The Four Noble Truths summarize the phenomenon of suffering in human life, identify its causes, and provide a theoretical foundation along with methods of practice to regulate the body and mind. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so we can go even further together. Secondly, after the Buddha attained enlightenment, he laid down the fundamental truths of the universe and human existence. There are countless phenomena in society and in human life, and more importantly, many people listened to the Buddha's teachings and practiced accordingly. And many of them experienced different states of consciousness as described in Buddhist studies. Therefore, Buddhism gained the support of many people and had a wide-reaching influence. What I want to emphasize here is the experimental nature of Buddhism. By following the Buddha's guidance, practitioners who follow the precepts can, to varying degrees, verify and affirm that the Buddha's words are true. Buddhist studies are not merely abstract philosophy, but rather an experimental science with strong practical application, even though it also encompasses profound philosophical insights. Practicing according to Buddhist teachings is what we call studying Buddhism. Thirdly, some natural phenomena described in Buddhism are the result of actual observations made by those who have attained corresponding spiritual abilities. But for ordinary people, these truths can only be approached through observations from the lens of modern natural science. These are, in fact, scientific predictions made by great beings. Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha stated that there are 84,000 microorganisms in a bowl of water, and that there are 3,000 great thousand worlds in the structure of the universe. Today, these ideas have been confirmed as scientifically valid by modern microbiologists and astronomers. Some people now, lacking a full understanding of Buddhism, accuse it of being superstitious and unscientific. But in truth, it is these very few critics who lack a proper understanding of science. They exhibit a kind of blind faith in science and lack the genuine spirit of scientific inquiry. The 6 realms of reincarnation and the law of karma in Buddhism are often attacked and labeled as superstition. These people argue that when someone does evil, but no negative consequences appear, or when someone does good, but doesn't receive any visible reward. In truth, they do not understand that. Only when karmic forces from past lives ripen in the cycle of samsara will the effects manifest. The second argument is, why can't anyone see the consequences of reincarnation? The truth is that since Buddhism emerged over 2,500 years ago, its history and scriptures have recorded many cases where spiritual practitioners attained supernatural abilities and could observe the operation of karma and rebirth. In our lives, there are countless invisible things that the naked eye cannot perceive. But not seeing something does not mean it doesn't exist. Our eyes cannot detect infrared or ultraviolet rays. Our ears cannot hear ultrasound or infrasound. We cannot see bacteria. We cannot see microscopic particles like atoms. We cannot see or hear many signals surrounding us, such as radio waves, television waves, or mobile phone signals. And there are still many things that science has yet to discover, yet they continue to exist within this vast universe. We can see sunlight, but we don't realize that this light possesses both wave and particle duality. Yet we believe in it deeply and without doubt, just as we trust in science instinctively. Because modern natural science has become widely accessible, the spirit of experimental science lies in this. Science does not become less valid just because you believe in it, and it does not cease to exist or become superstition just because you have not personally observed or tested it. If we want to understand the laws and phenomena of science that our senses cannot detect or perceive, then we must study seriously and learn from knowledgeable experts in the scientific field. From elementary school to doctoral level, we gradually learn about scientific theories, perform and observe scientific experiments, and use advanced research tools to gain deeper insight into many scientific phenomena. If someone has never studied scientific research and does not understand scientific phenomena governed by natural laws, yet proceeds to criticize and accuse such scientific phenomena of being superstition, then that is truly laughable. Just like the truths introduced by Buddhism, it is not because you haven't studied the Dharma or haven't practiced the path that you are justified in calling it superstition. Buddhism is founded on profound faith, not blind belief. It is the faith of the wise, and historical figures from India and China across generations have proven this. Science is the application of human intellect, while Buddhist study helps people eliminate delusions in order to fully manifest the inherent wisdom of sentient beings. Therefore, science and Buddhism do not conflict, not even slightly. The scientific quality of Buddhism, a proper understanding of Buddhism, begins here. There are many discourses in Buddhist scriptures that astonishingly align with modern science. On a grand scale, they describe the formation of the universe, the structure of the solar system, and the Milky Way galaxy. On a smaller scale, they include observations of the life of parasites and microorganisms. Even advanced sciences, like the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics, affirm the truth of Buddhism. Here are a few examples that demonstrate how the Buddha accurately described the state of our universe in the Genesis Sutra, Kinkoi Thi, as follows. A minor world system is like a net of teeth arranged in the shape of an upturned tray. That means it is not only circular, but also spiral within. This precisely matches the structure of the Milky Way. Furthermore, the Buddha pointed out that the Milky Way contains countless planets inhabited by humans. The concept of three-dimensional space corresponds to the 3,000 Great Thousand World Systems, essentially the entire star-filled sky that we observe today. Within these 3,000 world systems, there are infinite worlds. One could say this encompasses the full observable universe known to humanity. And to this day, science has yet to surpass what the Buddha described as the 3,000 Great Thousand World Systems. If the Buddha's teachings bring you peace, plant a seed of goodness by liking and subscribing to our channel. The Genesis Sutra also states that within our minor world system, namely the Milky Way galaxy, there are 4 great continents: Jambudvipa, Purvavideha, Aparagodanya, and Uttarakuru. Our Earth belongs to one of these 4 major continents, Jambudvipa. The other 3 continents are interpreted as references to extraterrestrial beings, or life-bearing planets elsewhere in the Milky Way. The Buddha described these beings in great detail, including their appearance, facial structure, lifespan, and living conditions. Beyond the 4 great continents, there are also 80,000 smaller continents. These smaller planets have not yet evolved into more advanced worlds. According to the Shurangama Sutra, one of the Buddha's disciples, Aniruddha, was blind, yet he attained the level of Arhat. After opening his divine eye, clairvoyance, he saw Jambudvipa, our Earth, appearing like an amla fruit in the palm of his hand, a type of oval-shaped fruit common in India. Without genuine spiritual cultivation and realization, how could anyone, more than 2,500 years ago, know that the Earth is round? The Abhidharmakosa explains that the Earth rests on a layer of water, that water rests upon a layer of wind, and the wind rests upon space. This symbolizes that the Earth is spherical. Its surface is mostly covered with water. Surrounding the water is the atmosphere, and beyond the atmosphere is outer space. Moreover, the sutra accurately explains the reasons behind the moon's phases, why it waxes and wanes, appears bright or dim. In the Genesis Sutra, the Buddha precisely explained the cause and reason behind the moon's phases, why it appears dim, bright, full, or crescent. Specifically, on the 30th day of the lunar month, the moon is at its darkest, closest to the sun, and completely covered by sunlight, making it invisible. Moreover, Shakyamuni Buddha once pointed to a bowl of water and said, "The Buddha sees in one bowl of water 84,000 living beings." In truth, the number 84,000 is symbolic, representing a vast quantity. Without any microscope, the Buddha could still perceive countless organisms in water. For this reason, he instructed his disciples to filter water before drinking it, to minimize harm to the microorganisms living in it. Shakyamuni Buddha also stated that the human body is full of microorganisms. He even identified their locations and modes of activity. Today, thanks to advancements in modern science, we've discovered that the human body hosts many parasites, including over 10 types of worms such as roundworms, pinworms, hookworms, filarial worms, tapeworms, lung parasites, liver flukes, and more. Some may ask, more than 2,500 years ago, without any scientific instruments. How could the Buddha have had such profound understanding of both the macro world, like the universe, and the micro world, like parasites? In reality, everything resides within the mind consciousness. Through deep spiritual cultivation and enlightenment, human beings can perceive the entire universe. We have every reason to believe that. From now until even 5 billion years of scientific research, our understanding of the universe's nature will still not match the wisdom of the Buddha. The Shurangama Sutra teaches that all causes, effects, the world, and ultimate truths are formed from the mind itself. There is another question in physics that is equally ancient and profound. That is the question of the composition of matter. It wasn't until the late 20th century that a relatively clear answer was reached, based on the equation E=mc squared developed by Einstein. The philosophical meaning within this equation is the assertion that matter is merely a condensed form of energy. In Buddhist philosophy, matter is initially categorized into 4 types: earth, representing solid matter; water, representing liquid matter; wind or air, representing gaseous matter; and fire, representing pure transformative energy. These types of matter do not exist eternally, but are subject to transformation according to the law of impermanence. According to the concept of monism, all material forms are simply manifestations of emptiness, shunyata, and this emptiness is universal and inherent in all things. Simply put, in Zen Buddhism, all phenomena possess Buddha nature. That is, everything contains within it the essence of truth. To better visualize this, we can compare this philosophical explanation with the view of modern physics, which states that all things, regardless of form, can ultimately be described as energy. Even more remarkable when describing the state of the universe. In the Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, Heart Sutra, the Buddha declared, "Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, not increased, not decreased." This means that all things are empty in nature. Not born, not lost, neither impure nor pure, neither increased nor decreased. Now, what do you think of the sharpness of this view? If we relate it to the law of conservation of energy in physics, which asserts that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, then we realize that thousands of years ago, Buddhism already introduced the idea that denies the fixed existence of material reality. This is known as emptiness. According to this principle, all forms of perception that human consciousness forms about matter are ultimately inaccurate and impermanent. For example, consider the two concepts, form, sak, and appearance, tuong. Form refers to color, and appearance refers to the shape of matter. But why does Buddhism reject these attributes? Modern science has shown that color is merely a subjective perception of the eye in response to light wavelengths. In other words, it's a psychological phenomenon, not an absolute essence. Likewise, the shape of an object varies depending on the tool used for observation and the observer's awareness. When we look at a strand of hair under an electron microscope, it appears entirely different from how we see it with the naked eye. Therefore, we cannot rely on form and appearance to define the truth of matter. Similarly, sound, sensation, and perception all arise from the mind. In Buddhism, the idea of denial is not about rejecting reality, It is a gentle reminder that all perceptions, thoughts, and actions are created by the mind. The Buddha called it, all phenomena arise from the mind. Van Pháp, Duy Tam Tao. Truth does not reside in external appearances, but in the deep stillness of inner awareness. If we are willing to reflect inwardly, the universe will gradually reveal itself as it truly is. We hope you've caught a glimpse of the profound subtlety in Buddhist teachings. Keep an open mind and a kind heart. And don't forget to plant a seed of virtue by liking and subscribing to our channel as we continue this journey of rediscovering ancient wisdom in the light of modern science. See you again in our upcoming videos.